Wow.
The turn-in.
The land of make-believe.
Greetings and welcome to you, brave citizens of our new world. I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our layer 3.1. That's Steve the Seregios, visiting from the UK. What's up?
Foreign contaminants.
Yep, foreign contaminants in the lab. We had to shut off a lot of alarms. So, today is our first Questions Thursday that we've got coming back 2019.
Of the new Warfront.
Bam. And we only had about 22 questions or so from our last video, so I pulled some questions that we had left over from last year's Vita that I didn't get to, so yeah, I dug them on up. It's an old question, but it checks out. So the rules for Questions Thursday are simple. For those of you who are returning from our Vita stuff from last year will know this, but for anybody who is new, it goes a little something like this. You leave questions on our Questions Thursdays videos in the comment section down below. I then bring them up and I answer around 10-ish or so per episode going forward. The criteria for said questions usually is as follows. No long, crazy paragraphs that I would need to get into because it's going to take me a huge amount of time, and oftentimes they're not something that I have a very interesting question to. I will answer whatever questions that I feel I want to, and that's my prerogative. That doesn't mean your question wasn't interesting. It just means that I maybe didn't have something interesting to respond to say to it, or maybe I didn't have enough time and I've saved it for another day. If I don't answer your question, feel free to leave it again on the next video, and maybe I'll get to it at some point down the road.
But don't start complaining if it doesn't.
Yeah, like, I get to as many questions as I can, I answer whichever ones I think I will have an interesting answer for, so on and so on. Yeah, just whatever I can do. In some cases, I will respond to those questions in the comment section if it was something I wanted to get to, but I didn't want to do it on the video, or I just didn't have time to get to it. So let's get into the questions. Any reaction to the recent news that Canada is warming due to climate change twice as fast as the rest of the world? See, like, my first response to that is that the numbers on that may be a bit skewed.
I was about to say that seems a bit...
Canada is colder than other parts of the world, at least other parts in the US, so the fact that global warming would be hitting us harder and faster does make a lot more sense. That being said, though, there are other parts of the world, like Russia, that are just as big and cold as us, that apparently, if included in this survey, aren't suffering that issue. So I'm curious, like, truthfully, I hadn't heard of this, so I don't know, but like my cursory thing was like, maybe it's just bad data, that someone didn't run the numbers very well. It's a lot like when people say that a lot of people die in big cities. There's like, oh, you don't want to go to places like Toronto. There's lots of murder, and it's like, there's several million people living in this space, and they had 10 murders in this year.
Like, per capita is like the thing.
Yeah, like, meanwhile, the small town community I grew up in has like 100 people living in this space, and there were 2 murders. So percentage-wise, like, per capita, there's considerably more murder that happens in the small town than there is in Toronto. But it's just the initial face number that scares people off, and that's what I was thinking was going on here. It was just like, maybe someone wasn't running the numbers thoroughly.
They didn't dial back and like make it a fair comparison.
Didn't look at the bigger picture, being like, well, it's not warming up as much in Texas, but it's getting crazy warm in Canada. Like, well, of course it is. Canada's cold a lot of the time, so.
And Texas is the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, you're not really going to notice a change in a few degrees in Texas.
It's like, oh look, that rattlesnake is boiling a bit faster than it always has before.
Slightly faster boiling. What is that pile behind you? Wood? Books? This pile right here that Steve's been strategically hiding in this video is a mountain of manga that I am currently selling on Kijiji and the Facebook Marketplace because I, after my brother passed away, came into his entire collection of like D&D books and manga and comics and a bunch of other stuff. And there's a couple of pieces that I decided to keep, but largely, I don't collect or read manga, and I didn't play, or still don't play, a lot of the tabletop game books that he had, and I thought, instead of hanging on to those things, what I should do is put it in the hands of people who would enjoy them more than me. There was also a lot of Magic cards that we recently got rid of as well, because it was just binders and binders of Magic cards, and you don't fall over, be careful. I'm currently in the process of getting rid of those. Sass Elf is helping me tremendously with that process. So yes, it's just a big pile of books.
A lot of mango.
Where did you come up with the name Mechanolith? Mechanical Monolith.
Good portmanteau.
Yeah.
Simple. It's like sand is sand because it's between the sea and the land.
Is that why it's called sand?
No.
No, that's the thing. Is like if that was the real reason why it was called sand,
it would make sense.
It would blow my mind. Like whoever it was that came up with that word, genius. Like should be in the history books. But I feel like it was just a fun coincidence that it was like sea.
Because I saw
land.
that on like Shallow Thoughts Reddit.
Yeah.
The only good like subreddit, because the rest of it's just filled with incels and terrible people.
All the more people to crush. One day.
Soon. So we get the Hungry Hippos machine.
That would be so much fun. Just a giant, hungry hippos just just scooping up Nazis, just running through the streets. Show up to those like white supremacist rallies and just like shunk.
It's like
now I have to do that. After you achieve your goals of ruling the world, what would some things you'll miss after reaching that point?
anything in the old world that you give up, or like you'd be sore to give up.
I'm gonna miss the quiet. Not gonna lie. There was a time, before I decided to dedicate my life towards trying to conquer the world to make it better, I'm gonna miss the quiet, because there's some days that I miss, like way back when I was young, not having anything to worry about, not thinking about like the great world economy and, you know, the political strife between this and that country and
ignorance is bliss.
Climate change and all the things that we can do to improve our world, but we can't because we're so mired, so steeped in greed as a culture and as a race that it's just all of that. And I'm so happy.
All capitalism.
I'm so thrilled that I'm energized to take on this task and to do this every single day,
but
because it gives me that purpose and it gives me drive, and I love it.
And it's a beautiful vicious cycle, because
Yeah.
you have galvanized other people to do so.
Yeah.
There are so many people who I've seen who are like Dr. Terawatt, like knockoffs, for lack of a better phrase. It's like, cool, you're like store brand,
no name
you're
brand.
like the Rice Krispies
Terawatt.
that have the power on it and not the 3 gremlins.
yeah, exactly. But I love that though. I love that other people are going like, hey, yeah, and then getting up and doing something about their environment.
Phone opens window, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yes. Like and that fills me with such a tremendous sense of pride that if
what
I
you're
can
doing is actually doing something.
Yeah, like if I can just get one person to do better, then I feel like I've won, and anyone else after that is just gravy. It's icing on a cake. But I just, honestly, if and when I do take over the world, I'm planning on being in that position as long as possible, and already at this point, I miss the quiet days.
Yoshikage Dr. Terawatt just wants to live a quiet life. And yes, that was a JoJo reference! I'm gonna miss JoJo references from the old world.
Yeah,
because you're gonna ban weebs.
You have an original Power Master Optimus Prime. Yes, I do, actually. This is when I was a kid, back in the 80s.
It's so dope.
It is an old school G1 Power Master Optimus Prime. And he, like, opens up. I'll see if I can still do this. Like, the little cube comes out, and then the giant head pops off. But wait, it's got a smaller head underneath,
Whoa.
and it like opens up into a smaller Optimus Prime. And then the rest of his empty husk of a body turns into like a little fortress. And also, it's like if you change his front in a certain way and you put it down like that, it's the truck.
It's the truck.
Yeah, it's the Mack truck, because you can see on the one side of him it's the Mack truck, and then it's Optimus motherfucking Prime. I played with this like crazy when I was a kid. Takes me back. Peter Cullen does the voice for Optimus Prime, and I could fall asleep every night listening to him talk about nothing.
My Autobots.
Just, oh, God.
Transform and roll out.
#1 people I wish was my dad. So, Doc, how do you deal with loneliness and a general discouraging and depressing mood? I'm studying abroad now, and I'm stuck in a somberly and depressing mood, so some advice would be lovely. Thanks in advance. I'm sorry it has almost been a full year before I've gotten back to this, but obviously, living a life of villainy is difficult, and there are a lot of downs and not a lot of ups, and the only thing I can say that staves off when things get sad, when things get bad, is keep yourself busy. Keep looking forward.
Find something to occupy the dark space.
Yeah. Like, just don't focus on what sucks about now. Focus on what's ahead of you. Focus on tomorrow and the day after that. And I know that that's not like a good thing to do all the time, that keeping an eye on...
Ignoring all of that is a bad thing.
It's also a bad thing.
Shouldn't do that.
But it's like, if things are just kind of hard right now and they're really out of your control and there's not a whole lot you can do about it, then in my personal experience, what has helped me tremendously is just focusing on the future. Just keeping yourself busy right now. Work on a project. Do whatever you need to do. Study, play a game, build something. God knows. Look how sad I am. Look at all the things the camera can't really see, but if you lean the camera back, you see just the obtuse amount of things I've got on the wall. But yeah, so just keep yourself busy, keep your hands full. You know, pass the time, focus on the future, and good times will come.
And when in doubt, there's still always memes.
What would you say is the best thing about your life as an entertainer, and what would you say is the worst? Personally, I love the work of being an entertainer, but I hate that, at least as in the radio biz, it takes all my weekend time that would normally go to friends away. Best thing about being an entertainer, I would say, is every now and then we get some letters, some messages, emails, comments on videos of people saying thank you. And it's really what keeps me going through all of this stuff. And even on the Twitch channel, because I think that's on the links that I have down below for these videos, but if not, I'll include it. We've been doing a lot of streaming on Twitch, Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. till 10 p.m., playing lots of games with you guys out there. And in the comments, occasionally we get stuff that's just people saying thanks. Thanks for being entertaining. Thanks for helping me understand something better. Thanks for, like, giving me hope about the future. And stuff like that. Just people who are happier, who are better, who are challenging themselves more, who are challenging their environment more. That's really my favorite part of it. The worst is any job that you have out there, any dream job that you could ever have. Like, I play video games as part of my living. So, like, that's a dream come true for me. But
for a lot of people.
For a lot of people. But the downside is there's always downsides. Like, the worst part of doing all of this, at least for this stuff, is the enormous amount of fucking paperwork that I have to do every day. Every day I have to do an insane amount of paperwork just corresponding with different facets of the business that I'm running here. So it's just a lot of typing emails and talking with people and politically managing different contacts and blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of minutia that I wish I didn't have to deal with, but it's part of the job. It's what agents do for a living, basically, is I'm going to talk to that person and I'm going to negotiate a bunch of stuff with 50 emails back and forth before we work out a good deal for you, blah, blah, blah. And that's like one deal that they're working on, and they do that 9 to 5 for a bunch of people. So
and you do that for yourself.
And I'm doing that for myself in addition to all the rest of the stuff that I've got. So my hands are consistently full juggling a whole bunch of folks that I have to talk to and manage. And I don't like people that much to begin with, so you can imagine the just amount of furious stress that I get under on a day-to-day basis just dealing with that kind of stuff. And it's just like, if it was about something important, I would be like, yeah, let's talk about it. Like, I want to get into it when it's something that matters. But when it's just like, you know,
found locations for your next death ray base, and it's like, yeah, let's talk.
Like, let's talk, or how much money are we going to put into the people that are cleaning the parks this year? I want to get on that. But if someone's like, do you need like $40 or $50 for like your food money coming up to this convention? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to be there doing a show, and I want someone else to deal with that, and I don't have enough money right now in our company to pay another person to full-time do that garbage. But so that's kind of where I am. In terms of streaming, again, it's a great job, but sometimes you gotta wear a hot dog suit, man, and that's every job. No matter how fun it is, no matter how much you love it, there's gonna be a part that you're not gonna like. So that is all of the questions that we've got for today, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you everybody for coming out and for giving us a watch. If you have any questions that you would like answered, of course, leave them in the comment section down below. And it can be about just about anything. If you want advice on stuff, if you have questions about life as a supervillain, if you have questions about life as a Twitch streamer, just let me know in the comments and I'll get to as many as I can next week, Thursday. And until then, my brave citizens, I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our Layer 3.1. That's Steve, coming in from the UK. And we will see you again on the warfront. End of line.